Well, excited to get to be back playing. Got the week off to hopefully heal up a little bit, and now we got to go on the road again and try to continue with some momentum. We were playing good football. We got to continue that on the road. I think Stanford plays the game the right way. Troy's an excellent coach. They've been aggressive in terms of, I think they've gone for 24th downs, most in our league by far, and they do an excellent job of possessing the ball on offense and limiting your possessions on offense. They're nothing like Navy, but very similar in that you may only get 8, 9, 10 possessions a game instead of 12 plus, which is standard. So got to be efficient on offense and value the football. Defensively, well, they also stop the run well as a defense as well and try to make you one-dimensional. And then offensively, it all starts with Daniels, a quarterback. He's a good player. It all runs through him. You could tell when they didn't have him against Virginia Tech, that hurt him. But, we're excited to get to play again and go on the road for a challenge.
What was kind of some of the focuses that you guys had during the off week and just getting healthy?
Yeah, I mean, it was really well timed in that we just had 3 really physical games, even 4 if you count the BYU game, but 3 in a row without any off time. And so, we've been fortunate from an injury standpoint to be, other than maybe running back, in pretty good shape, but still just the the physicality week in, week out, O-line, D-line, the little bumps and bruises here, a guy with a shoulder, a hamstring, whatever. So we wanted to get healthy, and we needed that. At the same time, when you got momentum and you're playing well, you want to keep playing. So we got to do a good job of trying to pick up where we left off and play good football and try to continue to build on what we've been doing.
Speaking of that, you guys have focused on getting off to a hot start in your past few games. How can you try and make sure you continue that, coming off a bye week where you maybe haven't played as much live football?
I know it may surprise you, but we always want to get off to a good start. So we have done a better job of that our last 3 games. And so, and I think particularly on the road, you want to get off to a good start. Just kind of relaxes everybody, gives everybody confidence. It doesn't mean you necessarily have to go down and score a touchdown every time. But, I think our guys are locked in. Yes, we can't let there be any kind of hangover coming out of the bye week or any rust. But, just do your job, execute, make plays. So that's something we're going to need to do again Saturday. And we're always focused on it, and hopefully we can do it again.
I know the kind of coach cliche in sports is we take things week by week, but when you look at just the broader scheme of this season, and you've gotten by a lot of your toughest games, you're probably going to be favored in the rest of those that are ahead. Is this the exact position you hoped your team would be in at this time of year?
Well, before I answer that, glad Billy showed up. Everybody, make sure. Did you bring the afternoon paper?
Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate the question. It's a great question. I will disagree with one thing. I do not think we've gotten by our toughest games. Yes, preseason hype, we got by our toughest games on paper at the beginning of the year, but now you look, I think 5 of our last 6 opponents have winning records. A couple of them undefeated in conference. Pitt's obviously undefeated. All the teams left on our schedule are playing good football. And look, just week in, week out, it just gets tougher. The way our season has gone, every year you want to try to stay present best you can. And it's hard to do. It's hard to do when you point out things like you just so gracefully did. I'll say that we were favored by double digits against BYU and lost. So, you probably we don't really pay any attention to any of that. So it's out there, but what we did in the last 3 weeks gives us confidence. It doesn't do anything for us this Saturday. We're entitled to nothing. We get nothing for it. We have to go play well. And, we've tried to break our season into 4 quarters because it's just kind of how it works. We won the first quarter 2-1. We were able to go undefeated in the second quarter. We're starting off the third quarter of our season, so it's almost like, man, you came in at halftime to rest up, recharge, regroup. Can you start the second half fast? And in a football game, that happens all the time. Guys come out slow starting the second half, or they don't. And a lot of times that sets the tone for the second half of the game. So we're starting the first game of our third quarter. That's our sole focus. If you continue to play good football and win, then every game after that becomes a bigger game. And if you don't, then you got to stop asking me that question. So I hope you keep asking it. But we have much respect for everybody on our roster. And back to the original challenge from the season. We said going into this year, we felt like we had a team that could compete. So far, we've proven we can do that. But what we've never done is play 10 straight games like this. I say never, 30 years. We've only played 4. We still have 6 to go. So how does the week in, week out grind affect us from a depth perspective, from a physicality and health? We have a physical football team. We play physical. That's what we have to do. But how will we hold up? I don't know. That's one of the things we're going to learn. So I think there's some really, really big challenges in year one ahead of our program in the last 6 weeks, and it doesn't just have to do with the record, although we have put ourselves in position for these games to be meaningful.
How much do you look at Stanford's game against Syracuse and their success that they had versus looking at what other teams have done to them the last 3 weeks?
Syracuse's only loss, I believe, correct?
100%,
On the road, on a Friday night. Road teams hardly ever win on the road midweek games. You look at times they've shown not only they beat Syracuse first game of the season, they were in control of that game for about 3 quarters against TCU. We know what kind of talent they have. They go to Clemson. That game was tight through 3 quarters. I think the Virginia Tech's the outlier because, again, their quarterback didn't play, and he's really what makes their offense go. But defensively, they're an aggressive, play hard, physical unit. They force a lot of fumbles. They stop the run. They make you earn everything and beat them, and that gives them a chance to stay in every game. And then the way they play ball control offensively, like we're going to have to get off the field because if we let them possess the ball for 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 minute drives, that game shrinks quickly. And they won a game with less possessions. We won a game with more possessions. And so, we've all had our games that they go our way and they don't. I think last week, on the road, they're probably going to tell you they wish they could have played better. But you got to look at the history of how they played against an opponent like TCU, how they played on the road against the Syracuse, how they played for 3 quarters at Clemson, and just understand that you have to play really good football. We have to continue to do the formula that's worked for us. We have to be able to stop the run and run the ball. We have to win the turnover battle and win the explosive battles. If we can do that, I like our chances.
What's the reception like on the recruiting trail when you are ranked in the top 25, getting out there around town in the helicopter and everything?
Yeah, it's good. It was good to be out in our city watching some great high school football. I think there's a lot of buzz in the city about SMU, and that's great. That's what we wanted, to be in this position, to be in this league. Again, the best thing you can do for recruiting is win. So, if you let it fizzle out the second half of the season, it doesn't mean we still haven't done some good things, but, people forget about some of that. But, no, it's been good. I mean, this is the position we want to be in. It's going to take 2 and 3 and 4. You got to stack recruiting classes when you go to this level of football to sustain it. So it's good to show that we belong. Now we got to continue to compete and finish down the second half of the season so we can maybe capitalize on some of the potential recruiting opportunities we'll have.
When you're having your big picture conversations during the bye week, are those conversations any different when you're coming off the BYU loss versus coming off of 3 straight wins?
Yes and no. I mean, look, when you come off a disappointing loss against who's proven to be a really good team, but where you felt like, man, we let some things go, it's a little easier to be urgent about fixing them, right? Human nature, when you come off 3 straight wins and you get a chance to pause, it's not like we played TCU, Florida State, Louisville. We had to continually just go to the next game. We didn't have time to sit around other than that night after the game and really enjoy our win. We had to go get ready for someone else. And then when you have a full week to kind of exhale, in some ways, good ways, but now, and then to your point, you're ranked, and people start patting you on the back and telling you and your team how good you are. Look, our guys have earned that, but with that comes a lot more responsibility and maturity demanded of us, because it's human nature to relax when things are going better for you instead of double down and try to chase a higher standard and try to push through potential complacency in those things. So our guys so far, I think they handled the bye week well. We needed to balance that fine line of getting them as rested up as we can at the halfway point of the season without, not doing anything and losing our edge. They got a good weekend to rest. I thought today for a Tuesday, it was a good Tuesday. We were in full pads. We did everything like we normally do on a Tuesday to try to make sure we keep that physical edge that we've had so far the first half of the season. But yeah, I mean, we're going to learn a lot about our maturity as we go into this next game, coming off a bye after some success.
Win or lose, what does post-game from Stanford, after Stanford look like for the team? You guys?
Yeah, we've gone back and forth. We get to play late on that coast and then late on the next coast the next week. At one time, we'd considered staying the night after the game. But at this point, we're going to come back after the game. So we'll probably get in, 5 a.m. plus on Sunday, probably similar to Nevada. And there's concerns with doing it either way. If you stay, it's out of routine. You get back at like 5 on Sunday. Are guys really going to sleep after a late game? Who knows? Come back, they will have the whole day Sunday, and then the way we do things Monday is physically not a real demanding day for them. There was a little bit of a hangover after the Nevada trip. Anybody who, it's like taking a red eye, But I think by and large, the way we do things, that'll give us the best chance to stay on routine. I have a feeling those guys will sleep a lot on Sunday. It'll probably be harder on the staff than them. Regardless of what you do, it's a lot more fun if you can win. So we need to go get the win, and then it won't be as big a deal.
I know you said the coast-to-coast travel isn't as much of a concern, but having all these late games, is that just something new that the teams had to adjust to?
I don't think so. Over the last 2 years, I feel like we've had a good balance of early and late games. So, no, the late game, usually as a coach, you worry more about early games, but, thankfully we're a morning practice team, so that doesn't seem to be an issue. Guys are usually, especially if you're at home, you like night games, better crowds, better atmosphere. I don't think it matters, when you're going to like fly all the way back from the West Coast and lose all that time. Sure, you'd love to kick out there at noon, like I think Virginia Tech got to do, but it doesn't matter. And teams have been doing it for years, going to Pac-12 schools and playing. And everyone's got parts of their schedule that are more positive and others that are more challenging. Back-to-back road games on each coast. I like the challenge. So don't really need to worry about the travel back in the next game until we worry about this game anyway. So we need to go play well against Stanford.
How have you seen the O-line's progression, particularly Coach Justice talked to us about after about that first bye week, how important that was to getting personnel more consistent, kind of getting the right mindset in?
I think the O-line's been really steady. The O-line's a lot like a deep snapper or holder or kicker. They only really get noticed when something bad happens. And so in 6 games, we've got 6 sacks, and one of them's not even a sack because Kevin was scrambling and fell. So we've given up 5 true sacks. 4 of those 6 games, we didn't give up a sack. So the 3 happened in 2 games. So we've had our tough moments like every unit will, but I think they've done a nice job. We've ran the football well against good competition without having a lot of negative plays. That's what really kills you is negative plays. You can hand the ball off and get no gain of 1 or 2. Okay, that happens. It's when you go backwards. So I think from the standpoint of eliminating a lot of the negative plays in both the sacks in the passing game and in the run game, I think they've done a solid job. I think the last couple of weeks have been better. We've got the unit. We know our top 5 or 6 to 8 guys, and they're all rotating, and the roles have kind of been defined. And a couple times, like Jakai's got banged up, it was good. J.O.'s played center now. He pops in. And so, guys like Ben Sparks seem to come in late in games and give us a spark, no pun intended. And so I think we're in a good place. But just like our unit, it's what is our mindset? What are we chasing? Are we chasing our standard? Are we trying to go out and still pursue our best game that we have not played yet? Or are we relaxing? And so that unit's got to double down on what they've been doing the last few weeks.
Any injuries you can update after the bye week?
Oh boy, I don't think we had any. I think Tank's in a much better place. Tank Booker, he didn't really have him for Louisville, but the bye week and that week have really helped him, so he's available. I think it really helped guys like Burchard and LJ. Burchard, you could tell he was really tender on that shoulder against Louisville. I think it's really great to have LJ back. When he's been healthy in his career, he's been really productive. You look at Florida State, he was averaging 7 yards a game until he went out. We had him, or maybe that was TCU. But we had him available last Saturday against Louisville, but, didn't until later in the game. But when he came in, he made some big runs in the 4-minute situation in the red zone. So I think getting him back's big. So I think we're as healthy as we've been in a minute at that position. I just think, look, you're never healthy after the first game of the season. So our guys are playing banged up with bumps and bruises, normal football stuff. But the week helped them. The only one that's probably not going to be available this week would be Romello. I think everyone else, unless I'm missing somebody, should be back and available.
Anything else?
Awesome. All right, Billy's got 10 push-ups for late.